Good morning, Mr. NORLITO Bautista. So we are group project Team LAMBAT from University of the Philippines, Open University. And as part of our data communications and networking requirement, we are, so there's Maki. We are here to present our low-cost alternative messaging for boats and aquatic travelers. Together with me is Attorney Jeff and Engineer Maki, along with my two other group mates, Nolene and Janelle. Janelle is actually from the IT, information technology industry, and Nolene is from communications background. She works for a digital agency. Okay. The outline of our presentation will discuss the beneficiary, project Team LAMBAT's introduction plus logo, the rationale, the device, the road test, the ocular inspection, the field test, our advocacy, and the interview questions, along with the expenses. The beneficiary. Okay. Fisher Folk Community at Barangay Tabing Dagat in Bacoor, Cavite, Philippines. Enveloping the shores facing Manila-based coastal lines, residents and families rely on their daily catch of fishes, shellfishes, and established mussel farms in the coastal community of Barangay Tabing Dagat. Barangay Tabing Dagat is one of the coastal barangays in Bacoor City. Its population, as determined by the 2020 census, was 3,424. This represents 0.52% of the total population of Bacoor. Living across the coastal area, the residents of Barangay Tabing Dagat's primary source of livelihood and income is fishing. Around 1,000 families in these coastal barangays are fisher folks. Project LAMBAT is a student-led community initiative with a mission to empower the local Filipino fisher folk community in the Philippines. Here, we actually created our own logo, and I'll move back to the previous slide so you can see there. If you would notice the A in the LAMBAT, it's an acronym which says low-cost alternative messaging for boats and aquatic travelers. And the letter A in that acronym symbolizes two icons, or two personas rather, which is a person, the fisher folks in this case, and a cell tower for the signal. And the boat on the left side as well symbolizes two things, which are the fisher net, or the LAMBAT itself, and the computer network, if you would notice. So yes, it's a combination of white and blue colors, and that's the logo. After a few consolidations with the group, we have agreed to use this final logo for our project. The rationale. So a few solutions, if there are any, exist that are off-grid, affordable, reliable, easily deployed, and openly standardized for the Filipino fisherfolk community of Bacoor, Cavite. With Project Lambat, the group aims to help the fisher folks in ensuring that their communication will remain smooth and seamless, notwithstanding the distance in the sea and the lack of cell towers thereon. The device. So I'll turn the floor to Attorney Jeff to discuss the step-by-step guide on how we created the device. Jeff?
Thanks, Nin. Hi, sir. For the first few steps, we have to determine po yung kailangan namin bilhin. So, bumili po kami ng board. It's a TT Go ESP32 LoRa board with Wi-Fi and GPS. Built-in na siya, sir. So, it's very user-friendly, or I would say newbie-friendly, especially for people who are some of us na walang masyadong robust technical background. So it allowed us to, at the very least, tinker with the board without the need of going into a more in-depth technical stuff. Aside from that, sir, yung board na yan, may nakalakip na LED screen. So part na po siya ng board. And then aside from that, sir, bumili rin kami ng mga cases, custom-made, 3D printed, para dun sa board na yon, as well as yung mga waterproof bags na pwedeng ilagay doon yung mga cases para hindi mabasa kapag nasa laot na po. So, next slide, please, Nin. Ay, Helena. Yan po. Tsaka 18650 batteries din po pala.
Yes.
They came from China, sir, so it took around 3 to 4 weeks bago dumating. So, next is that we soldered the LED screen doon po sa device. We had to go through several YouTube tutorials for us to be able to know how to solder. And medyo nag-iingat kami kasi kapag mali yung pagkakasolder namin or kapag may ma-damage kami na anything doon sa board, it will take around 3 to 4 weeks ulit para makahinap ng replacement. So yeah, but in the end, we were able to solder it all together. May mga konting hiccups lang during the first few stages kasi we had to solder and unsolder and resolder ulit. But thankfully, it ended up well. So yun po. Next slide, Helena. Then the next part would be we downloaded the firmware from GitHub and then installed it on our board. So it's great kasi meron ng meron ng built-in firmware para dito in the name of Meshtastic, which we downloaded from their GitHub account, their GitHub page. And yeah, we installed it on our boards. When we were in the process of installing it, sir, we had to do it over a Zoom session together with my group mates for us to ensure that we're doing the right thing. Actually, nangyari dito, sir, is that they're controlling my machine remotely. So yeah, all of the instructions are provided in the link provided. So yun din po. Next slide, please, Helena. And then after that, we downloaded the meshtastic.apk file from the very same GitHub account and installed it on our phones. Unfortunately, sir, hindi pa siya supported sa Play Store. So, hindi pa siya makita doon. So, ang ginawa namin, nag-download kami mismo manually ng meshtastic.apk and then we installed it on our phone. It's a very short process. It's not. It's also a small file per se. Kaya we did not have any problems doing it. And nung tinry namin i-connect yung phone doon sa board, we just entered the pin and then that's it. The phone is now connected to the board and vice versa. After we connected the phones to the board, we connected the boards to each other para ma-ensure na makakapag-usap sila. So through the use of Meshtastic app, we were able to do that and pair the boards with one another and have them communicate with one another. Next slide, Miss Selena. Opo. And then after several test runs, we were able to finally make it work. It's a very meaningful journey, especially for us, kasi parang first time namin mag-solder, first time namin mga likot na ganito. So we hope na we will be able to share that advocacy, that kind of feeling, that kind of sense of accomplishment to other people who may want to do the same project. So thank you, sir. Back to you, Miss Selena.
All right, so those were the simple steps na dinaanan po namin in order for us to create the device. In mga first-timers po kami. In that sense. Okay, moving on, the road test. So we had our road test in the Mall of Asia Baywalk area last 27th of November. Here's a hyperlapse clip from midpoint to start point, which roughly only takes a minute. So yeah, I'll just fast forward it. Ayan na naghang ng internet. Hold on. Okay. So here's the thing. This is the actual device, the black one, if you would see. We have actually 3 of those. We created 3 devices and nilagay po namin siya sa 3D casing. And we labeled them as, this one is the PL Black device. And if you would see here a screenshot from the Meshtastic app itself, these were the exchange of messages we had among the 3 devices connected to the app in our Android phones. So our start point here, all the way to the midpoint along the Bay Area in Mall of Asia. So far, nakaka-receive po kami ng mga messages. So, within our devices. So here's the maps, the messages from starting point to midpoint. And then another hyperlapse from midpoint to endpoint. The maps and messages from midpoint until we reach the endpoint. So you would see here, approaching midpoint, midpoint location test, receive from point to until all the way until we've reached the endpoint. Oops. Meanwhile, this is the hyperlapse from endpoint going back to midpoint all the way to the starting point. So bumalik po kami. I think the road test proximity was around 1 kilometers from this was along the Baywalk area, heading to Vikings restaurant, and then from the end point going back again to our start point, which is along Conrad, Manila. Here. So in the app, there's a tab where you will see all the devices connected or paired with the app Meshtastic app. So there's the black device, PL Black, and then from the Jeff actually was handling the black device that time, and he was situated in the midpoint, and then myself handling the blue device, and my Nins or my group mates white device. We were together taking the video clip and testing the devices range, or how far will the messages reach each one of us. The ocular inspection. This was held last 27 November. One group member met with the fisherfolk representative, Mang Artemio. We explained the informed consent form and brief him about the device in Tagalog. So these were the devices in their respective casings, the blue, white, and black. We have prepared a video clip. So please watch how Project Lambat team members successfully deploy the device at Barangay Tabing Dagat, Bacoor, Cavite. Is it audible, sir? Sorry, can you hear the audio?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, I'll play it again.
So, kunyari, kapag na-stranded tayo,
Oo,
kaway-kaway
kakawayan mo
ka
lang, oo. Kaway mo lang sa patid ka na sa atin, doon.
Kasi po sa laot, walang
Walang
signal.
Kahit may cellphone ka,
Opo.
wala siyang lalo na kung doon sa lagpas ng mga danbarko. Eh, paano kung na-stranded ka, hindi mo andaran ka?
Hindi ka makakagalaw.
Hindi ka makakagalaw doon. Nakapunto ka lang. Si Artemio Sumalinaw, nakatira sa Bacoor, Cavite.
Ako naman po si Julio Seronga, nakatira po sa Bacoor, Cavite.
Ako si Junrel, kasama sa nakatira sa Bacoor, Cavite.
So, ilang taon taon na po kayong mangingisda?
Ako, siguro na sa 22. Kasi 1994, nandito na ako nang mangingisda na ako Yun ang ano ko, hanap buhay. Mula noon hanggat ngayon.
Ako mga 12 years. 12 taon. Kasi dito na ako maliit pa lang ako, nagdadagat na ako.
Child abuse kayo.
20 years po ako. Kasi pumula na pag ano ko rito, dito na rin pa talaga. Mangingista na po talaga.
20
So lahat po kayo, Baco or native?
Bako,
dito.
Ay hindi ho, ako Samar ako.
hindi lugar na ito dito.
Pero sa ano, dito ako, parang dito na ako tumanda.
So, kamusta po ang kalagayan ng inyong pamilya dahil sa pandemya?
Mahirap din. Kasi di ka makalabas. Buti kung may marami kang pera pag bumili ka sagaran. Minsan wala hindi ka makalabas diyan. Hinaharangan.
Mahirap talaga, mahirap kasi unang-una, may huli ka nga. Ang pagtinda naman yung kalakal, hindi mo maitinda na maayos. Kasi lalo nung nagkaroon ng lockdown, isang lugar lang pupunta mo, dito lang. Sinong bibili sa kalakal mo? Wala. Gutom ang pamilya. Yung nga lang, nagtitiis kasi kailangan makasurvive.
Mahirap po talaga. Lalo na pandemya, mga pamilya pag walang kita. Napakahirap. Kamot na lang sa ulo. Yung po pinaka-doubles. Wala ko talaga kita
So, maaari nyo po bang ikwento ang typical na buhay ng isang mangingisda?
Ma'am, pwede ako mauna.
Kasi po,
Mahirap po ma'am ang mangingisda. Lalo pong may mga barkong dumarating. Kagaya ko po nung kahapon. Nangisda ako. Nabundol po ako ng barko. Akala ko katapusan ko na. Lumungoy po ako ma'am. Sobrang kaba ko. Buti ka mo. Akala ko katapusan ko na. Nakalayo ko sa barko na yun. Sa hirap naman mangingisda ngayon. Kasi kalaban namin mga barko Kagaya namin, may kuya, tayo iglip kami. Hindi natin alam, may barkong padating. Basta na lang bubundulin ka na lang. Napakahirap ang buhay ng mangingisda ma'am. Kagaya namin. Nakaligtas po ako, asawa ng Diyos. Ito po, tanda ko na to.
Minsan masiraan
Napakahirap
ka.
po yun.
Minsan masiraan ka, hindi ka na doon ka na lang. Kung wala kang katabi,
Hindi ka nang umaga.
Oo, ikaw na lang doon mag-isa. Pag wala kang magagawa, sagwan ka na lang pauwi hanggat kaya mo. Sagwan. Pag hindi ka na nakauwi mga alas 5 hapon yun, susunduin ka na noon pagdating ng hapon. Kung makita ka, pag hindi ka makita, kinabukasan ka pa.
hahanapin.
Hahanapin.
Ako pwede mong silta. Hindi.
Hindi yan.
Hindi, totoo ho, talaga mahirap minsan sa dagat. Pero naman masarap naman minsan din. Kasi hindi naman puro ganun ang minsan. Pag kumita ka, masarap. Kahit anong hirap sa laot, pagdating mo dito, medyo tanggal ang pagod mo. Ang kinahirapan lang sa laot yung minsan kasi minsan hindi ka napapansin ng mga nasa laot na iba. Kagaya sa akin na nung araw na tinawaan din ako, nabangga ako ng Norway. Durog yung bangga ko, wala akong nasingil doon.
Nabangga po kayo ng?
Norway, yung malalaking prawn.
Malalaki.
O yung mga fishing boat ng malalaki, yung mga talaga sila.
Ano po yun? Mga Pinoy po ba yun?
Pinoy rin yun.
Mga Pinoy din, oh. Kaso nga lang, kasi dahil nga sa wala kang wala kang, siyempre laot, wala naman sa saklolo iiwanan ka na lang nila. Basta-basta. Oh.
Ano po kayo nababangga? Hindi kayo napapansin?
Oo, hindi napapansin. Kasi minsan, puyat na rin sila sa trabaho nila. Tumatakbo ho sila sa laot.
Nakakaiglip, no?
Oo. Ikaw ang natutumbok. Di bangga ka ngayon.
Nakakaiglip yan mga ganyan napupuyat.
Mabuti na lang, nakalangoy ako pa ilalim. Hanggat kaya ko.
Ito yung sa akin na lang, yung sa barko nga, tumbok naman ako.
Ay,
Buti yung bangka ko din nasira. Hindi sana magamit natin yan, ma'am kung nadali yan
Mahirap na masarap ang hanap buhay sa dagat.
So, magkano naman po typical na kita kung hindi nyo mamasamaing tanong?
Una mo dun, Rel.
Minsan 700 one day, ganyan.
Yun po yung no?
Minsan bibenta ka man ng 1.5. Makrudo mo 500, parang ganun. May kita rin, minsan naman wala. Minsan naman sunod-sunod naman din meron.
Ano po ang mga months na masagana?
Mga May, mga ganun. May.
June.
Pag ganito, wala na. Pag taglamig, amihan na kasi. Paamihan na wala.
Taghirap ng dagat ngayon.
Taghirap ngayon. Sa dagat ngayon. Konti lang nahuhuli.
Ano po mga hinuhuli nyong isda?
Iba-iba. Sa akin ho, yung tinatawag sa amin dito, mga halo-halo sila. Bansi, bisogo,
Parehas lang.
hipon, alimasag. Yun ang hinuhuli
Kasi isa lang naman ang lambat namin eh.
Ganun.
Parehas lang.
Ano po yung mga pangunahing problema?
Ang makina.
Sa mga
Makina talaga. Kailangan ang makina mo maayos para
Hindi ka
hindi ka mabirya sa laot. Para automatic na makakauwi ka. Pag bulok na, lako. Lagi ka matitingga doon.
Mabubulong ka rin sa laot.
Oh. Sorry. Napindot ko yata. Hold on.
Ganyan. 12. Depende ho sa oras.
Kung kailan ho ang kasi ho minsan naalam namin kung kailan nagpapahuli o gumagalaw yung isda sa laot, sa tagalan namin sa dagat. Alam ho namin kung gumagalaw ho ng hating gabi, lalautan ho namin ng alas 10
Pag pwede sa araw.
ng gabi. Pag pwede naman sa araw, lalautan ho namin ng alas 3, ganyan. Hindi parehas sa
Kung maraming huli ka sa gabi, tapos konti lang sa umaga,
datos ko.
lagi ka sa gabi. Pag marami naman huli sa umaga, tigil ka sa gabi, sa umaga ka. Parang ganun.
So, paano po kayo nag-uusap sa mga bangka kung kayo solo-solo kayo?
Wala.
Wala ho. Kung
Wala ho.
sa medyo malayo, sinyasan lang ho.
Dasal na lang, dasal. Senyas lang.
Sinyasan lang
Kung
ho.
katabi man, senyas lang.
Yes.
Oo.
Kasi cellphone ho, hindi gumagana ron eh. Lapit ka muna sa barko para may signal ka.
Malapit po sa barko, doon lang may signal.
Oo,
may
doon lang ho may
signal.
signal.
Sa barko.
So, yung komunikasyon nyo,
Senyas
kaway-kaway
lang.
Kaway-kaway lang ho.
Kaway lang, oo.
Oo.
Meron, wala.
Pag tanong mong ganun, pag sinabing wala, di wala.
So, gaano kalayo yung distansya na nararating nyo sa laot?
Malayo ho.
Sa pagitnaan kami minsan.
Kung ilang sukat ho ng Manila Bito,
Basta, kunyari, Bataan, Cavite, para nandiyan kami sa gitna.
Bulacan.
Oo, parang
Bulacan.
ganyan, nandiyan kami sa gitna.
Bulacan po.
Bulacan,
Kalimitang Bataan.
nakakarating.
Nakakarating kami dyan.
hindi lang ho namin alam kung ano kasi, hindi namin alam kung wala kaming panukat, hindi kagaya mga Coast Guard, may panukat yun eh.
Wala kami
Mga distansya namin, malalayo nga yan eh.
Dito sa pier.
Napakahirap
So,
mga isda.
palayo ko kayo ng palayo kapag
Oo.
walang...
Pag wala, palayo ng palayo. Sobrang layo, wala pa rin yun. Tulog ka na lang. Pahinga ka na.
Kaya na.
Almasal ka,
Wala eh.
tubig.
Wala na pabili crudo eh.
Mga ilang oras po yung biyahe noon? Halimbawa pa Bulacan or pa Bataan.
Mga,
Dalawa.
ganyan. 3.
Mm.
Depende kung maalon o hindi.
4 na oras balikan yan.
Ano po masasabi nyo nung nakita nyo tong Project Lambat na device na gumana sa laot?
Okay.
Okay. Malaking tulong kung sakasakali. Malaking tulong kasi kung may cellphone ka, tapos kasama mo may cellphone din at saka ganyan, makontak mo siya kung ano na nangyari sa kanya. Malaking tulong yung tutusin.
Paano po pag may emergency? Sa tingin nyo po ba makakatulong yun ito? Device?
Oo naman. O kaya, pwede, di ba sabi nito ni ma'am kanina, paliwanag niya, pwede kang kumontak sa Coast Guard. Pag nabangga ka, pwede ka kumontak sa Coast Guard para matulungan ka. Malaking bagay.
So, pag binigyan po namin kayo ng ganitong device to Project Lambat, sa tingin nyo po ba magagamit nyo araw-araw?
Opo ma'am,
Oo,
malaking bagay na
magagamit
po
yan.
yan.
Ang gamit yan
Magagamit
araw-araw.
po yan. Malaking ano lang yung katulungan sa dagat yan. Kaysa sa ganun. Mayroon kami nito, kunyari kami, nadali siya.
Huwag naman ako madali.
Ay,
Ayaw ko pa, kahit matanda na ako.
kunwari lang naman eh.
Minero
Kunwari
ka
lang
lang
naman, mayroon madali.
Kakilala.
Kasama natin pare, nawawala, hindi natin makita. Alam ba, kukontak ngayon ako sa iyo. O di, pare, kumontak tayo sa akin ito. Hanapin ko, Coast Guard na lang. Baling hanapin na lang. Tutulong, hingin tulong na lang kami. Kasi malaking bagay kayo. Kung doon po ko sa cellphone lang po kami asa na walang signal, gagaya nito ng ano nito, device nito. Makakontak kami sa gilid sa mga Coast Guard. Sir, tulungan nyo kami, may nawawala sa amin kasama rito. Sila lang ay mag-aasikaso ngayon sa lahat. Kung saan na lang ba nahanap. Sa amin maliit na babangka lang kasi mga bangka namin maliliit. Gaya ng malaking bangkayan.
Marami ang tao.
Marami ang tao sila. Sa amin lang. Malaking tulong po yan.
There you have it. That was our field test in a nutshell on how we have tested our devices dito nga po together with the Fisher folks in Bacoor, Cavite. Okay. Based on the rough estimates of the Fisher folks and in consultation with Google Maps, the team was able to reach Sangli Point, Cavite City. The team was trying to test the range with the device without the cell tower's signal to rely on. Based on our observation, the black device got cut off from our range of communications from the other two devices, the white and blue, after going further into the sea away from Sangli Point. So here's the shoreline, the blue device in the middle of the sea. Moving further is the white device, close to Sangli Point area. And then furthermore, mas malayo pa yung narating ni black device. From that point where the black device is, nalaman po namin na wala ng signal yung mga devices namin itself. Kumbaga, hindi na kami naka-receive ng messages among each other. At that point. There are some images, the boats, the maps, and here's our advocacy. Introducing our Project Lambat website. Sir, were you able to have a look at the website through the link I've sent you earlier?
I browsed the website yesterday.
So Project Lambat is a student-led community initiative with a mission to empower the local Filipino fisher folk community in the Philippines. So our mission is to advocate, to educate, and to demonstrate. Apart from the website, we want to share and promote Project Lambat to more stakeholders. We have scheduled interviews to garner more insights regarding the Project Lambat device and its implementation to other coastal fishing communities. Yesterday, we had an interview with Philippine Coast Guard about our advocacy. And as discussed with you previously, we will be finalizing the schedule for the STEM Talks seminar at SPCP to brief the senior high school students regarding the Project Lambat device. You have mentioned earlier, sir, just for the record, no, that the STEM Talks would probably take place around January, it would start January and February until February or March. So most likely we can expect it around those months.
Yes, miss. The safest will be around starting February, because the start of the mid January would be just the start of the second sem, so the students will be oriented with the work immersion program.
Mhm.
And and of course they'll be scheduling all of their talks prior. So most probably the talks will start February all the way up to the first or second week of March.
Okay. We are looking forward to that, sir. We'll just
Okay.
wait for your official advice for us to prepare as well for this STEM talks with the senior high school students. Device expenses. So if anyone from the SPCP community, the senior high school students in this case, would opt to create their own device. So here's a rough estimate of the expenses we had for our team. There you go. The device itself, the board, the circuit board. Here, LilyGo TTGo Meshtastic T-Beam, the rechargeable batteries, the 3D printing service, and the waterproof pouches. So roughly around 7,000 in Philippine pesos. So since there were 5 of us in a group, it costed us around 1,500 each. So for the interview, okay, I'll start with the first question. Sir, can you state your name and main responsibilities as a science subject team leader at St. Paul College, Pasig?
Hey, hi, good morning. I'm Mr. Bautista, Mr. Norlito Bautista, and I'm the science subject team leader for science in St. Paul, Pasig.
Okay. How robust is your robotics and computer science curriculum in St. Paul College, Pasig?
I can't really say that it's a robust program, mainly because we are actually heavily relying on some partner providers for the robotics program. So we have FEI, First EduSpec, providing us with the kits, and some teachers. We started the robotics program around 2013 with just one section for the elective class in grade 9. And then, so now it's offered from grade, pre-pandemic, it was offered from grade 1 up to grade 10. And all of those sections were handled by the FEI, the partner provider. And the grades 11 and 12 are through the science area, the science curriculum, in STEM only.
All right. What are the usual programming related projects that St. Paul College Pasig does for their STEM track students?
For STEM, particularly grades 11 and 12, the projects that the students we go through would be for grade 11, they'll have the fundamentals in Arduino. So they have Arduino programming on the use of sensors and actuators, and C++ encoding the Arduino. They also made use of Tinkercad to create simulations of their projects. And in grade 12, they the focus would be on mobile robotics. So putting or creating robots on wheels and making specific functions. For example, a warehouse robot, a Roomba. So those are some of the projects in grade 12. So all of them are based on a mobile robot infrastructure. But in related to STEM, aside from the robotic subjects, in the work immersion program, students are actually divided into different groups, and their groups depending on the course that they're going to take in college. They actually propose projects. So some of the students who are inclined into computer science or engineering would opt to propose programming related projects. Some specific projects that I can remember would be AI related projects. AI related projects on ano nga ba yung topic na yun? Math, math reviewing. It's like an adaptive math reviewer. Also, the engineering teams would usually do smart traffic light projects, and lately or recently in this last year and this year, some of the proposed projects were COVID related, like some robots that would check the temperature and then give the actual reading, and using some of the sensors that we are using in the course. Yeah.
I see. Were there instances when your senior high school students from the STEM track have created an alternative messaging device as part of their course requirements?
No, I can't remember any project related to messaging, mainly because the kit that we are using are all wired. We haven't really touched on wireless communication. So maybe that's the reason why, because having the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth enabled Arduino would actually increase the price of the kit. So we opted not to include any wireless feature in the kit that we are providing the students. Yun.
So in case, sir, this will be the first time that this kind of device will be introduced to the students, and if in case they will be tasked to create one, it will be the first time for them to create such device for communication.
Yes.
Interesting. Are there any computer science organizations that students can join for extracurricular activities in SPCP?
It's not really organization, but extracurricular activities would include robotics competitions. So we usually join robotics competition. So the last pre-pandemic robotics competition, our school representatives reached the finals, and they went to Australia to represent Team Philippines and the school, and they actually won one of the events. So they joined 3 events and they won one of the major events. So yeah, so the innovation project. And come to think of it, looking back at that project, it was actually uh, Wi-Fi based. So you mean wireless communication. That project um, is uh, something that they proposed for the city of Pasig. It's like a greening of the city of Pasig, but they want to make the the what do you call that garden? Yung nilalagay sa wall, the garden. And then they automated the watering of that one based on water moisture and sunlight, and then they automated the the sprinkler system through their phones. So that was their project that actually won the innovation slash sustainability category.
That's really nice. Are Polinians familiar with the Python programming language?
I'm based on what we are using. We're using C++. So that would give them maybe an easy way into Python, but we're not using Python in school. C++ is the closest that they got to something related to Python kasi medyo magkamukha yung language. But aside from C++, they have Java, they have HTML, ano pa bang mga programming languages sa school. In the grade school, they start out with the block programmings like Scratch. So very early in the students' education, they actually get exposed to programming languages. And regardless of the language, I think the students can really adjust really well to programming. Kung may alam ka na isa, it's very easy for them to actually learn the others.
Actually, yes. True enough. Okay. After seeing the brief regarding the Project Lambat, do you think that creating a device like this will be useful for senior high school students in the STEM track?
Yes. Looking at that it's an advocacy-based project and it's a science-based project and it's a technology-based project. So it opens actually a lot of doors for integration. And since the school adopted the outcomes-based education format, then the outcomes should always be related to an advocacy, because we the OBE setup depends highly on the output of the students or the outcome of their learning. And the best way to actually assess or see if the students actually learned in the course is through an advocacy or through a project that can reach out to the community or give back to the community. And this is a project that can actually open that door for STEM. So I think your project has a high chance of getting into the program, program.
That's great to know, which answers the next question of about the chances that these devices can be created by the Polinians. Okay, how can a device like Project Lambat help Polinians in terms of enriching technical skills and community building? I think you have answered this already.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that.
Okay.
We have been planning for a very long time now to introduce soldering to the students.
Soldering. Mhm.
Yeah, but since we're using the breadboard, the plug in, plug out breadboard, so they usually don't find the need for soldering to be introduced. But if they are to move forward and create a board for themselves not be that can be used outside, tapos hindi matatanggal-tanggal yung mga wire, then they should learn how to solder. So maybe this next year we can introduce soldering as part of the skills in electronics and in the robotics program.
I see. Even I would want to learn how to solder. Kasi in our case po, Attorney Jeff was the ones handling, he was our device keeper that time. So he managed to solder the devices himself at home. And we were just watching on Zoom video on how he actually was able to put all things together. So,
Naginginig-ginig pa yun, sir.
all right. What are the pros and cons, feasibility-wise, in recreating this device for your computer science or robotics curriculum?
The pros will be that, of course, like what I mentioned earlier, that it actually will open doors into outreach. So we reach out to the Fisher Folk community, so that is actually a pro, and the sisters would really like that we're creating projects that reach out to the communities. The cons maybe would be resources, mainly because the body of the device is 3D printed. So if you can order it, pero it's 1,200. I can see that, di ba, parang doon sa 1,000. Did you order it or did you 3D print it yourself?
We had it customized. We had a supplier doing 3D printing, and then we just let them know what exactly is the requirement. So they provided us the casing itself.
Okay, yun. So that actually would be the main concern, the resources, because we were thinking of acquiring a 3D printer pre-pandemic. Nag-pandemic na, of course, put on hold yung 3D printer. We were looking at different specs and the need for the 3D printers. So now there's this project that we can actually use. So yun, medyo matagal kasi mag 3D print. So and 3D printing would be part of the course in arts and design and not in, so medyo yun yung ano. Pero we can work it out with the different tracks naman. That will be.
Okay. Do you think an advocacy program like Project Lambat is in line with SPCP's core values?
Yes, because in the SPCP's core values, one of them is community. So reaching out to the community is one of the core values of St. Paul. So it is, of course, in line with the project. So okay, it's a very big plus.
Definitely. What are the other use cases where a device like Project Lambat can be useful for St. Paul College Pasig?
St. Paul has been supporting several communities sa Cainta, floodway area. So medyo mga remote communities, and usually during ano ba yung mga habagat, yung ganon, we usually have outreach to these people, and during the storm surge, the school becomes like a relocation site for these communities, and uh, parents would volunteer to deliver goods to the communities, or pick up people from the communities if their houses get submerged, and then
Mhm.
them to St. Paul. So maybe the Project Lambat can actually create a mesh for this community, so that they'll know that, oh, I'm safe even without power, or even without signal in their respective places. So the Project Lambat can actually create a mesh for the community,
Mhm.
not just fisher folks, but people living by floodway, yung mga maliliit na communities doon that uh, have no signal, yon.
Mhm. Exactly. That's actually the aim of our advocacy for this device to be recreated, developed even further, and for the beneficiary to expand, uh, not just among the fisher folk community, but also in other communities and industries as well. What about, sir, during disaster preparedness? I would remember St. Paul always conducts the earthquake drill from time to time. I was thinking maybe this device could be helpful as well in case that the big one, as they say, earthquake ay dumating dito in our lifetime. Do you think this device would be helpful?
Yes, because if the network is already in place, then people can send signals within the network that they are safe, or that they
Mhm.
need help. So it would be very easy for like Saint Paul to reach out to families or households or individuals who are lost or trapped, or need any assistance
Mhm.
during or in the after effects of a disaster.
Mhm. The thing actually with our device, the more devices there are, the wider the coverage or the nodes that it reach. Kasi the more devices we have, so the wider the coverage, in a sense that there are more nodes created, kaya yung reach ng messages mas also lumalawak in that case. So sa amin po kasi we only had 3. So kami-kaming tatlo lang yung or the devices namin ang nakakapag-usap. But let's say in SPCP community, each one of the students in a room, bawa merong isang device sa kanilang hawak, mas malawak yung magiging sakop ng coverage niyon or range ng messages na mararating. Okay. I think that's it. We have covered all the interview questions for you, Mr. Bautista. Do you have any questions for us or clarifications you would like to ask?
Um, some of the technical details lang. Hindi naman masyadong technical.
Sure. Go ahead po.
Do you just do you have to upload the app to a phone for it to to be connected to the network?
Yes, actually we do. Let's go back to the steps here. There. So, as discussed by Attorney Jeff, we have downloaded the Meshtastic APK file from GitHub and installed it on our phones. It's not actually, the app is not available from Google Play Store. So in the Meshtastic website, they have among in their repository files, doon po makikita yung APK that we can download on our phones for the app to work.
So it has to be an Android and not an Apple device.
It
Then.
ideally Android, but then our group mate Nolene was able to make it work as well in an iOS device. The thing is, we have hindi siya unlike with Android, so you download the APK file and install it directly. Pero with iOS, you have to download another kind of app, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it was called the Test Flight app. So doon mo na padadaanin before you can actually install it on your iPhone. Kasi 'di ba medyo stricter ang ang App Store, ang iOS sa mga app installations nila. But then it worked. It works the same with an iOS device, except the interface may ibang changes lang with the actual interface, but the features works the same po.
So the map feature that you were presenting earlier were all coursed through the Meshtastic app. So you were able to pinpoint your location through the app.
Yes, there's a feature on the app. Wait, let's go to that page. Oh, there. See, on this screenshot, so that there are 5 tabs on top. So the first tab are the messages, exchange of messages. The next one is the devices, all the devices connected to each other or paired. And then the third tab would be the map. So nandyan po, makikita yung location ng each device connected sa isa't isa on this tab, on that map. Although here in our presentation, we utilize the Google Maps to pinpoint our location or yung route nung itinakbo nung range, kumbaga nung device namin in sending messages. Okay. The fourth tab, ano nga ba to, Jeff?
Yung QR code, the
Oh,
fourth
yeah,
tab, sir,
QR code.
there's a QR code in there wherein you can establish, you can establish po private channels so that anyone who scans that QR code using the Meshtastic app will be able to join that channel, and only those who are within the channel can communicate po with one another.
Creating a private network. So this is really nice. Establishing a network for the community talaga.
Yes, sir. We chose Meshtastic for being an open source, so it allows more improvements po in the future from anyone and whomsoever. There were some of us who were able to code the application from scratch, so that opens up also another side of the story, another side of exploration and whatnot. So it's great kasi it opens up a lot of doors for possible tinkering and explorations po.
That's right. In the last tab, yan yung settings tab, no? On that app. Okay. Where you can configure the channel. Yun ba tawag doon? Yung EU433 MHZ. That's the frequency na allowed dito sa atin. It varies, 'di ba, per country.
Yeah.
So you would find that on the settings tab, the last one. Okay. Anything else, sir? May
Uh,
mga...
Wala na. We coded it using Python, right? The code is written in Python. That's why you asked.
Yes. Open source po siya. Okay. All right. I guess that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bautista, for your time. We really appreciate po the interview we had with you and so much insights and learnings on how the younger generation, the students, the senior high school students, in this case, can possibly recreate the device, develop it further, and expand the beneficiaries among communities.
Thank you, sir. Salamat po sa insights. Very helpful po sila, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you po. Sige, so we will just get in touch with regards to the STEM talks kapag confirm na po siya.
Okay. I'll message you or I'll email you, and I'll also sige, ikaw na lang, hindi ko na indadama yung daughter mo.
Sige po. Email na lang po tayo.
Kasi hindi ko nasagot ka agad yung email mo. Kasi I saw that Miss Ligor already answered, so sabi ko ay baka nasagot niya na, so hindi ko na magre-reply. And then your daughter messaged me that email, so I answered. I didn't even read Miss Rigor's answer prior, so hindi ko alam na nag-ano pala siya, nag-decline pala siya kasi may family siya gathering.
Oo nga po. And for this weekend yata may family affair sila. But hopefully we could also reschedule another meeting with Miss Rigor some other times to also get her insights from the computers area's point of view naman po with regards to our project advocacy. Yes. Sige po. We'll just keep in touch through email. And in case po hindi rin ako makareply, feel free to just ping my daughter through chat. So that I could also check the emails right away kung meron na po tayong confirmed schedule for the STEM talks. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bautista.
You're welcome po.
Talagang we really appreciate po your weekend time with us for this interview. Okay.
Salamat, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome, and thank you din. Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye, sir. Have a nice day po.
You too, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Okay.
Salamat, Lina. Ano siya? Parang doon nag-aaral yung daughter mo?